Hey everyone. I am a little tired and still waking up, but my mind has been going all night, all weekend. I've been revising my research topic and pulling in and getting advice from other people. And what I really decided on, because I'm doing so much theory to prove my concept and point in my research topic, is that I needed something a little bit more concrete to kind of actualize it and kind of move everything forward. And so I've chosen to use curriculum design as being the main focus of where I want to take this literary concept of the arts as language and how it affects gender equity in the classroom. So my cousin sent me some information on this concept called bricolage, which is a French term that essentially means do it yourself. Okay. Ironically, since we are in a curriculum and instruction program, but yet really have had any courses or foundational understanding of curriculum design, I thought I would make this video for all of us that are really pursuing a curriculum avenue on what this concept of bricolage is and how it can help you, or at least give you a foundational understanding of what you may be looking for or curriculum itself. Claude Levi Strauss came up with this concept of bricolage in his 1962 book called The Savage Mind. And he uses the word bricolage to describe the characteristic patterns of mythological thought. Bricolage is using the skill of using whatever is at hand and recombining them to create something new. So you can see how this might be enticing for me when trying to create a new curriculum, and especially in developing an arts-based curriculum. Okay, so now in 1978, Derrida in Structure, Sign, and Play criticizes Levi Strauss's conception. And he argues that based on Levi Strauss's definition, this discourse on myths, it abandons all reference to the origin of this concept. He argues that a bricoleur, or someone who uses this process, doesn't care about the purity or stability or truth of a system, but rather it's just a means to get the job done, essentially. So Derrida then contrasts this concept of a bricoleur to the identity of an engineer. And he says that the engineer designs buildings which have to be solid and have little or no play. The engineer wants to create stable systems or nothing at all. Derrida talks about the engineer as the person who sees himself as the center of his own discourse, the origin of his own language. In the concept of the engineer, language is originated from one's own unique existence and experience. And so, what this does is that bricolage produces a new way to talk about and think about systems and structures without falling into this trap or problematic situation of reconstructing something out of the ruins, so to speak, of a deconstructed system, or in this case, a curriculum. It gives us a way to think about something as a new center, a truth. It also inspires creativity and originality and creating this way for possible new ways of putting things together. So, as you can see, I'm very drawn into this concept of bricolage and it being my ticket into questioning how can I go about creating an inclusive arts integrated curriculum. I also want to share with you an interesting lesson I came across called How to Make Something Out of Nothing, where a professor gives the instruction to create an image out of a series of shapes. The students could repeat these shapes and put them in any type of a pattern or design. And after they created that image, then they needed to create a research question based on the image. So, kind of working backwards in the process of understanding this concept.
Teaching here, I had the students engage in an activity of bricolage. I had a picture up of all kinds of different shapes, and they were asked to put them into some sort of coherence. And here were a couple things that people came up with. And they could use them more than once if they wanted to. This person used the shape more than once. And then here's another one. And then after they put together the shapes, what I asked them to do was to write a research question to which the picture that they had just drawn would be an answer. Because oftentimes in qualitative research, you have the data, the story, the shapes, the stuff first, and only then can you figure out the question that it answers. It's almost like playing Jeopardy. You have the answer and you need to come up with a question. And so this person, for instance, who drew this, came up with a question, how many shapes can be used to build a homescape? And then I asked, who would this be an interesting question to? Because going back and figuring out your conceptual cocktail party, and she said art teachers, and another thing that she thought of as a research question was, how can you use shapes to teach young students about abstract thinking and art? And so if you don't get the perfect sample, don't worry too much, because as a bricoleur, you can always put together the data that you gather in order to create a great story.
So based on the theory that I just described to you and looking how it was applied within practice models, how might this concept of bricolage help you either with curriculum design or in any other aspect of kind of funneling down and finding the answer for your research questions? For me, I find that there are two components that I can utilize. The first obvious one is how I can use bricolage to create or design my curriculum. The second component is how I can use the process of bricolage to work with teachers in order for them to create their lessons for students. So I hope you enjoyed this short tutorial on the concept of bricolage. I'm curious to know how or if this can relate to your studies as well. Bye.